Hello, I'm going to show you how I make tombstones for Halloween using insulation boards. I get those 4 feet of insulation board at the Home Depot or Lowe's. They have six panels, and I cut half of it. So with this I can make 4 tombstones. Alright, so the first step will be to measure 2 feet, and using a regular saw, just cut those boards in half. I'm using 3 sheets to make 1 tombstone. So my next step after this will be to cut an area where I'm going to put some PVC pipe. So what I also use is a 1/2 inch PVC pipe at the Home Depot or Lowe's, and I cut them in 1 foot section. And what I'm going to do is cut out with a razor blade. I'm going to measure, center it, and I'm going to cut out an area where the PVC pipe is going to sit in it. This is my measured section. So from the base to here, there's about 1 foot, and the area is centered to the board. So now I'm going to start cutting it. Now that the piece has been cut, I'm going to remove it from the board. It doesn't matter if the centerpiece breaks. So to give you an idea, so that's where the PVC pipe is going to sit. So the next step will be to glue those 3 boards together. So for this I am using some foam board adhesive. I like this one because it does not melt the board. I've used I used liquid nails before, and it's melting the board, and I don't like it. I'm going to trace the outline of my cut to the board below, roughly, so I will know where not to put glue. Alright, so this is the area where I will not put any adhesive. So using that cotton gun, I'm going to apply some glue all around. We've been sitting out real hard. Over here I'm going to make some round corners. Just line them up. That's my grandson. Alright, so now what I can do is, and we have the option to glue it now or to glue it later, so I'm going to put a bead on the inside right here, and I'm going to insert the 1 foot 1/2 inch pipe, and then continue to glue. The round edge right here is for the cutout. Doesn't have to be precise. Just line them up. Press it down a little bit, and here you are. Next step is to make a round the corners to make a nice looking tombstone. So for this, I'm using the lid of a 32-gallon trash can, and it's getting dark now. And I'll align it, try to make the corners as even as possible. And I trace it roughly. Again, there's nothing very precise in this project. And then cut it with that same wood saw. The edge has been cut and rounded, and again, I don't care about the imperfections. I almost kind of like it because it's that could be some sign of wear and tear on the tombstone, so you add some character. So my next step for the project is I'm going to lightly paint it black. So I'm using this type of paint that I found at Walmart. I'm using a little bit of water, not much, and also not much of paint, just enough to give a grayish tint. I don't want the tombstone to be very dark and black, because at night when I light it up with some blue light, and if the tombstone is far away, we don't really see it. So I like it when it's a light gray. This way the light can reflect on it, and that's the way I like it. But you can paint it pink, do what you want with it. Alright, I'm gonna have to use the flash here on the phone. Alright, so I just put some paint here. No big deal at all. So that's the amount of water that I have. If I run out, that's okay, I'll just add some more. So for this amount of water, I'm going to just put a few drops of paint. And that's an old, I bought that a few years ago. Now I have to find the paintbrush and just do a little stir. And I will see if it's if I put too much black or not. It's trial and error. There's nothing precise again. So I'm gonna do a quick wash. So at first it's going to appear darker than it's going to be. The water is going to be absorbed by the foam, and what's going to be left behind is the paint. So there's nothing really linear to that. Just brush here and there. I also like to do the corners, all the corners. So I'm going to do that with the foam down, do all the corners and also the back. So you see that now the paint has gotten lighter. It's still wet. There's still some dark spots, but it's going to. That's the wetter side, and that's the first side that I made. So you see the difference. As it dries, it's going to turn more gray. As a comparison, that's a white one. So really, when it dries a little more, if you want to give some effects, you can always, brush a little more on top, and brush in different areas, and you don't have to worry about anything because the paint is going to get lighter, so that might give a nice a shadow tone to it. So when this dries, I'm just gonna paint in using the same black paint. No, rest in peace, RIP, or whatever you want on it. So as far as the decoration goes, what I do is I unscrew the cap of the paint bottle. I pour some paint in it, a little bit. That's an old one. It's very thick. All right, and I go ahead and maybe put a little bit of water on my brush and do something, classic. So I'm gonna put a rest in peace. So I'm gonna start maybe over here. Alright, the family's here. You can hear.
You almost went face down in that dirt.
So that's my decoration. Rest in peace. Now put some the date and the cause of death. So it doesn't take long at all to make those, and I think it looks good in the yard. To hold the tombstones in the ground, I'm using some rebars that I got also at the Home Depot. I cut them in a 12 feet. 12 inches section, so about 1 foot. On these, I used 2 PVC pipes. But the problem I've been having is that when it's windy, it might break. By just using one with some wind, what's going to happen is that the tombstone is gonna shift on its axis and not break. Previously, I've been making tombstones that were just with one panel, and eventually with the wind those PVC pipes or the glue is coming apart. That's why I started to make the ones with 3 layers and the PVC pipe inside. So this is what it looks like at night with blue light. And I'm going to take the flash off on the camera and show you what it looks like. This is a perfect example of what's been happening with my older ones, with the wind. The glue just comes apart. Well, actually, the glue stays, but it just rips the sheet here. So as far as the shape, I made those round top shapes because it's easier. But if you want to spend more time, you can make crosses or whatever you want. Or something like that too. It's just more work, but I think the tombstone with just the round top is just work just as well.